I was 7 months pregnant, barefoot, standing in my kitchen at 2:13 a.m. And that's when my husband's phone lit up on the counter. One message. One name I didn't recognize. And 6 words that shattered my entire world. I miss what we did last night. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just rested my hand on my stomach and realized something terrifying. The man I was carrying a child for had already replaced us. And from that moment on, I stopped being a wife. I became something else entirely. I met Daniel when I was 26. He was charming in a safe way. Not flashy. Not dramatic. The kind of man your parents approve of. The kind you trust with your future. We built a life slowly. Weekend grocery trips. Shared calendars. Mortgage discussions over takeout. When I got pregnant, he cried. Actual tears. He pressed his forehead against my stomach and whispered, "I swear I'll never let anything hurt you." I believed him. I planned everything around that baby. I stopped drinking coffee. I slept on my left side. I gave up parts of myself without hesitation. Because that's what you do when you think you're safe. Pregnancy changed me. I was tired. Swollen. Emotional in ways I didn't recognize. Daniel changed too. He worked later. Guarded his phone. Stopped touching me the way he used to. When I asked if something was wrong, he smiled and said, "I'm just stressed. You know how work is." I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't attractive anymore. Maybe I was asking for too much reassurance. So I tried harder. And that's what makes betrayal hurt the most. You're already bleeding. And they still twist the knife. That night, the message. I stared at his phone for a full minute before touching it. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down. The messages weren't subtle. They weren't flirty. They were explicit. Vivid. Ongoing. Photos. Plans. Hotel receipts. He hadn't slipped once. He had a second life. And the worst part? The dates lined up perfectly with my prenatal appointments. While I was listening to our baby's heartbeat, he was inside someone else. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Because in that moment, something cold and sharp settled in my chest. If he could lie this well, so could I. For weeks I said nothing. I cooked his meals. Folded his laundry. Smiled at his jokes. I let him believe he was winning. But inside I was planning. I started documenting everything. Screenshots. Emails. Dates. Then I spoke to a lawyer. Quietly. Carefully. And that's when I learned the truth. If I left immediately, I'd get support. But if I waited, if I played this right, I could take everything. And then, the idea formed. A single thought that made my heart race. What if I didn't expose him? What if I let him destroy himself? 2 weeks before my due date, I sat him down. I was calm. Too calm. "I need to tell you something," I said. He panicked immediately. I let silence do the work. Then I whispered, "I don't think the baby is yours." The color drained from his face. "What?" He laughed nervously. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking," I said. "I found out recently." I watched his mind fracture in real time. He denied. Then accused. Then begged. I cried on cue. Told him I didn't want to raise a child alone. Told him I was scared. And then I said the words that broke him. "I understand if you want a divorce." That night he slept on the couch. And something beautiful happened. He stopped hiding his affair. Because in his mind, he was no longer the villain. Over the next few months, he pulled away. Stopped touching my stomach. Stopped attending appointments. He told friends he wasn't sure about the baby. I documented everything. When our child was born, he didn't hold her. Didn't cry. Didn't bond. And that hurt more than the cheating ever did. But I stayed quiet. Because the trap was almost ready. 6 months later I filed for divorce. He didn't fight it. Why would he? He thought the child wasn't his. He waived parental rights. Signed everything. I watched his signature hit the page. And felt the weight lift from my chest. 3 weeks later, I invited him over. Told him I had something important to show him. I handed him an envelope. Inside was a DNA test. 99.9999% probability. He was the father. He collapsed. Actually collapsed. I looked him in the eye and said, "I found out the same week I found out about your affair." Then I stood up. And walked away. He screamed. Cried. Threatened lawyers. But it was too late. He had given up everything willingly. And I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not joy. Not triumph. Closure. Revenge doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like patience, paperwork, silence, and the power of letting someone believe the lie they deserve. If this story made your heart race, hit like. If you believe karma works best when it's quiet, subscribe. And tell me in the comments, was this revenge justified, or did I go too far? Because this is just one of many stories where betrayal thought it won, until it didn't.